Welcome, travelers of the internet, to Fantasia Medieval. It's a AI art inspired game. As far as I understand it, the writing in here is done by a human, whereas the art generated is AI. And this brings up interesting topics on whether you can use AI to assist you in creating masterpieces or not. Because sometimes your art comes in many different forms and shapes and sizes, and some people don't know how to put, a pen to paper and make pictures such as this, but they know how to put the pen to paper and write. And this could be an interesting opportunity to explore working with AI as opposed to just going all AI or just saying no AI. Maybe we can use AI. Pow! You take a heavy hit in your head, in the temple region. The floor jumps at your face. Around you, sounds of steel against steel, and steel against flesh, alongside screams of pain expelled from the lungs. All of this is in an instant, before everything vanishes. Who knows how long later you hear music and laughter and a bad headache on the right side. You start to slowly open your eyes. You try to focus your vision, but the images refuse to sharpen. You see several silhouettes around campfires, drinking and dancing. Interesting. This one's very haunting right here. However, these forms sometimes look like young people, sometimes like old people. Sometimes the shapes look like humans, other times they look like animals of all kinds. You can't tell if the problem is with your vision or if the creatures are actually transforming. Damn, sometimes they even turn into trees. Is this one looking at me right here? It's so hard to tell. Oh, you woke up. Oh, you woke up. Good. A female voice comes up next to you. No, calm down. Rest, says the voice when you try to turn around. What happened? Ooh, you got hammered right from behind. You blacked out instantly. At the moment, I thought you were dead. Where are we? Don't you remember? Our mission has brought us to this forest village. Mm-hmm. Me and that chick had to collaborate to find this place, she says dryly. That chick. Great writing. Who's that? It is me. I just came to see how you were, says the voice without giving more details. Alright, let's proceed then. I'll let the others know you're fine, says the voice, standing up. You seem to be disoriented, but I think that's to be expected after a sledgehammer to the head. But relax, your color is coming back. I'm sure you'll be fine soon, says the voice, leaving the tent. Well, even that little bit of information already makes your head throb, as does looking outside and seeing those formless creatures. The party atmosphere makes you feel safe, and soon you close your eyes again. The darkness swallows you in a long, sleepless night. The sun rises, driving away the darkness, and with it, your fatigue. You are in no pain. You put on your clothes and get up from your tent to stretch out and start your day. Around, no sign of magical creatures. I think this one fits the best atmosphere from the last one, because it seems more in the forest, whereas these just seem like out in a huge clearing area. And this looks like too many tents. But I guess it's fine with too many tents. We're at a party, apparently. Next to you, sleeping in the open, a brawny brute snores like a wild boar. Around, some tents closed and only one open. Near that tent, sitting on a tree stump, a girl fiddling with a bow and arrows. Blonde and fine-featured, with long pointed ears that came well back from her face. What happened here? Goodness gracious. Her hand. I think this one's the best one. Although only one ear is pointed, as far as I can tell. Despite being in her field of vision, she didn't stop fiddling with the bow to give you any attention. Good morning, sunshine. The girl frowns, mutters an answer, and doesn't take her eyes off her work. I guess I'll leave her alone. She seems kind of grumpy. You stand beside your tent, stretching and breathing in the crisp morning air. After a while, the girl gets up with her bow and arrows and walks off towards the forest. She gonna hunt up a rabbit? Or a squirrel? I'll get some food, she says to you politely, and disappears into the woods. After some time, you hear a big yawn next to you. You turn around and see a burly man, 2 meters of pure muscle, dressed exotically in animal skins and hides. Holy crap. Hey, you're alive! Good, says the giant with a tone as if to say that if you hadn't survived, he would just say, what a pity. I like this one best. This one most reminds me of Conan. But this one looks kind of cool too. If this was like a backpack or something and he was facing that way. Steady and strong, big guy. The giant tries to see right through you, suspiciously. I heard you lost your memory. Is that true? There's no way to hide your lack of guidance. Yes, it's true, you say, nodding your head. Well, I guess it doesn't matter much. Now you're just a lad who managed to bury the past for good and got a new chance, said the barbarian dryly. What matters is that you can survive without getting in our way, he says, throwing a spear in the air for you to catch. Take the spear. You catch the spear in the air with one swift movement. It is familiar to you in your hands. You manipulate it as if it were an extension of your body. The giant is already unsheathing a sword and approaching. Uh-oh. You exchange a few blows, warming up. The barbarian trying to get closer and you holding your distance. Your impression is that, in a serious fight, he would defeat you, easily. And he knows it, the arrogant one. Okay, I've seen everything I need to know, he says, sheathing his sword and ending the little joust. Not sure if it's a joust. See you around, he says, heading towards the direction where the faint sound of running water comes from. So we got the archer going getting food, and the barbarian's going to go get water. You spend time alone at the campsite, and you notice that practically all the tents are empty. Remnants of last night's party everywhere. All except for a large black tent of fine fabrics. A few pairs of arms were needed to assemble and dismantle the big tent. That's such a strange phrase. A few pairs of arms. It takes a long time before you see movement from that direction, and a little more time until somebody finally gets out of there. A short woman with dark hair and very pale skin, dark clothes contrasting with her skin, and various jewelry and adornments. Is this like a necromancer? Is this our party wizard or something? Warlock, maybe? I like this one best. It's fairly alright. The candles are glowing without their fire. But what really impressed you was at her side a servant creature to her. A reanimated skeleton, moving with a graceful disaster. So that's what this is. Is it a little girl? I now that I think about this with the skeleton, I like this a bit better. Her skeleton, Mr. Bones, is her servant who helps her reach the top shelves for the cool mugs. You watch as the woman whispers something while fiddling with her jewelry and waving her hands in the air. From inside the tent, 4 more skeletons emerge, taller than her little servant at her side, and they begin to dismantle their master's tent. Oh. I guess several pairs of arms was suitable for this. As they work, she turns to you and smiles. Brand new, huh, Prince? Prince? Me? The necromancer laughs. I don't think so. But it was one of your stories, that you were a prince of an eastern kingdom. But you have a tendency to tell big stories when you drink. I've stopped believing in them, but calling you a prince became funny. Have you met the other 2 yet? You nod. And were they of any help? You shake your head. The necromancer laughs. No, I figured not. Listen well now. I'll explain to you how we're working. Alright. We form a team, the 4 of us. You and the barbarian in the front, me and the archer in the rear. That's kind of what I figured. The barbarian fights extraordinarily well with a sword, and you control space well with a spear. But you do not fight in coordination. I can see that. The archer is an elf, and silently takes down large numbers of enemies from a distance. And if I'm fresh, I can summon a squad of skeletons to create numbers. However, they are fragile, and a battery of enemies will easily run over them. That's when you enter the story again. You don't share your inventory with us, but several times you got us out of trouble with some magic scroll hidden up your sleeve. Alright. In addition to being our lockpicker and official negotiator, well, at least it was. With this whole memory issue, we don't know if you can still handle it. Man, you're throwing a lot of responsibility on a guy who doesn't have much memory anymore. You can leave it to me. Don't worry, you say. I trained earlier with the barbarian and managed to get by. Wait, that's me saying that. Don't worry, I trained earlier with the barbarian and managed to get by. Ah, that's good. So I'm sure you'll be back in action soon. But we have a problem. If you were honest in the last battle, and I imagine you were, because you were surrounded, you're out of scrolls. Crap. And to recover you from battle damage, we also depleted our potions. We need to go to a city, and fast. If we're caught off guard, I don't think we'll put up much resistance now. I think the other 2 will agree, although they both like wild nature more than the crowded city. Speaking of them, look at the 2 of them coming over there. Points to the necromancer. Well, the archer comes with 2 hairs on her shoulder, and the barbarian approaches wet after a dive. He caught fish. He caught fish, didn't he? I was situating our friend here, says the necromancer to the 2. While the barbarian is drying himself, the archer cleans the skin and separates the hairs into pieces of meat. The necromancer's small skeleton stirs a cauldron, making a stew. You finish breaking camp, load 2 horses and mount 4 more, and start your journey. What? Load 2 horses, mount 4 more. Alrighty. The 4 adventurers follow on horseback. 2 pack horses follow behind. Oh, so we got 6 horses total? All animals are beautiful and healthy. What are we riding? I see the AI has no idea what horses are. Goodness. I like this guy right here. Whatever that is. It looks like a face right here. It looks like he has some horns here, a little beard here. He's like, hey, what's up? You get lectured on how things work around here, like those scrolls and potions. The necromancer is patient in explaining the details. The barbarian keeps cracking jokes, but nothing too humiliating. The archer remains quiet most of the time, only speaking. Excuse me. Only speaking when she has something to add that the necromancer has overlooked. You advanced at a great speed in the morning, pausing for a while to give the animals a rest and to finish the broth prepared in the morning, properly bottled in empty jars. The archer knows the region well and leads the way. Even on roads she has never crossed, she always knows how to choose the best path. We're close to the elephant stones. Oh, the archer saying this. We're close to the elephant stones, she says, pointing south. At this time, it's a path where the sun shines less, although longer. Besides, it's beautiful. It's worth knowing. With no objections from the team, we accept the suggestion. Alright, sure. You start down a valley and come across the unmistakable elephant stones all along the way. Still riding horses, I see here. Okay, I think I can use a scroll now. If we had one to test, you say to your team. But what about the story? And this world? Where are we? What am I dealing with here? That one's shaped like an elephant. Very roughly. Are the elephant stones because of how big they are? Or because of, like, elephant shapes? I like this one best, I think. It's like 2 mountains flanking these plains, and there's these old ruins here, maybe. Like, maybe there was once a great city here, and these were the gates or something. It's kind of cool. Your 3 companions stiffened a little. This seems to be a sensitive subject, to say the least. Well, says the elf, if you like, I could tell you the original story, taught in the schools of all the realms. We don't have schools where I come from, says the barbarian proudly. The necromancer looks curiously at the elf, but she doesn't say anything. And then? Yes, why not? Let's have a story. Let's go, says the elf, getting ready. Wow. We're into Cosmo stuff. At the beginning of it all, he who is began to sing, and in its melody there was beginning, noise, end, and void. We live in noise. It is the song of good and evil, of shadow and light. And in the shadows there is a primordial evil, a prince of fire and renewal, the herald of famine, war, and plague. Very demonic looking. I don't know, I don't know if I want to give like too much shape to this kind of thing, a primordial evil. I feel like it should be more an idea like this right here. Or maybe this one right here, where you can have some similarities to a face there, I guess. Like eye, it seems to be like nostrils here. From time to time, it is in his nature to sow chaos into existence. Reap them all and spare only the lucky. It is said that 1,000 years ago, when angels were going to sleep and men began to reign, a prince of darkness was born. He's missing his legs here, or something. Looks like he's got a head, torso, and like thighs, I guess. I guess it's the only important parts, right? A black knight with the power to stir up sin in the hearts of men and thereby cause war all over the world. But there was hope. 7 adventurers, guided by an angel, had a chance of battle. Had a chance of battle. Okay. Okay. I like this one best, where it's more vague. Like who they were. Like here you can tell Red Riding Hood and some other people. This one's a bit more vague. Just shapes in the distance. That I like Cactus Boy here. Let's learn more about Cactus Boy. He was the tank, of course. He charged in the middle and just spiked everyone. They gained possession of the Heart of Evil, a cursed amulet that contained all of the Prince of Darkness' powers. At the second mention of Prince of Darkness, you inadvertently yawned. The necromancer noticed. Yeah, so far so good, she says, confirming the story. It may sound corny, but the appearance of this Prince of Darkness is well documented. The oral tradition of my people is the same, confirms the barbarian. You're doing well, elf. Yes, well, says the elf, letting out a satisfied smile. Continuing. For a time, adventurers roamed the 4 corners of the world, gaining allies and overturning the influence of chaos. What is with this giant man here? Goodness gracious. Their objective was to destroy the Heart of Evil, to defeat the prince once and for all. However, the adventurers have fallen into a trap. One by one, they all died at the enemy's hands. All but one, the angel. The angel was incarnated in the form of a great white mage, and when all was lost, he turned to the evil heart to fight for his life. So the angel was he? Okay. It's Gandalf the White! With the powers of good and evil in his hands, the Prince of Darkness didn't stand a chance against the White Mage. I really like the look at this one. With all this darkness around, here comes the White Mage. He's just towering over little Prince of Darkness here. They fought for days and nights, and their battle divided all the continents that were once one. In the end, the White Mage won. But at a cost. I like this one best right here. With his arm turning into fire there. He is being consumed by darkness. Oh no. For power corrupts. When the White Mage returned from battle, he dispossessed the chief kings of the land of men and took over the rulership. Man, he became the castle right here. Goodness, you see that? He was like, I could be better than king. I can be the entire castle. He would now create an empire with an iron fist, with no room for immoral and ugly things. God, homeland, family, conservative values, exacerbated moralism. This looks like sci-fi right here. This seems more like a look into the past with everything black and white. It is the Prince of Darkness attacked in the temptation of sin. The White Mage knew how to use the war against sin in his favor. It is said that he is still alive today, watching everything from his White Tower, a magical place, inaccessible by land that can materialize anywhere. Interesting. Just teleports around, inaccessible by land. So you have to teleport into it, I presume? To pierce the magical barrier, you must use magic? Or a scroll. Good thing I'm the scroll boy. Or at least I once was. I like this one best right here. A very ghostly tower. Not really that one. This one. Because it looks like it's next to a castle. Just popped in. White mage comes out. Hey, I'm demanding your taxes. On Earth, the Order of the White Knights imposes orders on the world, and always tries to solidify its influence in all realms. So, is that so bad? Order, I guess? Well, I guess that could be like... Oh, what's the terminology I'm thinking of? Like Judge Dredd, I guess. I am justice. The world has lived in a relaxative peace ever since. It's what we call the Pax Albinum. A relative peace, not a relaxive peace. I don't know where I got the X in there. The Pax Albinum. I like the look of this one, because it looks like we have our city down here and people walking towards it, and White Mage decides to show up. But whoever lives according to the culture imposed by the Order is considered civilized, and whoever rebels is savage. Wow, you think. Enough to digest here. Well, says the necromancer, I'm no friend of the White Order. Women like me, they burn at stakes. I, on the other hand, am very much in favor of the reforestation programs that the Order spreads, says the elf. Ah, the White Knights don't sound too bad, I guess. Under their command, rivers breathe and plants survive. I don't much care what you humans invent under your city walls. Also, she looks at the artifacts and bones carried by the necromancer. I still don't have an opinion about these things you do, she says judgmentally. Sounds like you got an opinion, but don't get me wrong. Of course not, honey. They both smile at each other. Well, alright. Well, I respect strength, and the Order is strong, says the barbarian, as if that's a brilliant thing. But they like to poke their noses into our communities anyway. Are you complaining, or... And you, what's your opinion on all this? I understand their ideology. The necromancer looks at you crookedly. The elf understands you. The barbarian agrees. You have to respect the Force. The matter is closed and the journey continues. Hey, the elf exclaims. If we go up this hill, we'll find a beautiful lake. Ah, so let's go, the necromancer completes. The sun is already gone, and we won't have a chance to shower. I guess this is like the road up, but it looks like water. This looks way too snowy or desert-like. I think this one's probably the best, because we come up a hill, and there's the lake. With no objection, you leave the trail and start up the steep slope, dismounted and riding in wide curves because of the horses. Not even half an hour passes, and you arrive at an immense clear lake. Now, boys to one side and ladies to the other, says the necromancer, already pushing the elf from behind to a slope behind a rock wall. What? Oh, okay, so there's this rock in the middle of camp, essentially. And the rock wall is essentially that barrier between ladies and boys. Okay. The elf walks without any objections, but she also begins to undress without any shame. Uh-oh. For a few seconds, you and the barbarian watch the two descend and move away. Wrong! The barbarian gives a sly laugh along with an animalistic snore. His eyes sparkle. What does that mean? Wrong! That's an awesome thing to say. Shall we wait and take a peek? Yes or sure, says the barbarian, looking at you, waiting for approval. Let me think about that. The barbarian looks at you confused. No idea what you might be thinking. His moral compass doesn't see this as a bad thing. Well, you start to think to yourself. The elf, I'm sure, doesn't give a damn if we take a peek. The barbarian smiles, sensing where this is going. The necromancer, on the other hand, was very clear about going to separate corners. You ponder. Yeah, but what is the necromancer going to do? Summon a few skeletons? Come on. But instantly the barbarian's smile widens as if by instinct. But she's been by far the nicest here with me, you start to convince yourself. She might just be testing us to see if we'll have the courage to disobey her. Your scoundrel side indulges the idea. And if it all goes wrong, I should be able to blame the barbarian. You think, finished convincing yourself. Then what? The barbarian asks. I may have to censor things coming up. It may be fine, though. And besides, how is the AI going to handle this? I don't understand why all the drama, then, says the barbarian, laughing. The barbarian leads the way, climbing the rock wall by the most difficult way, skirting the path the girls took. You go behind, putting your foot in the indentations that the barbarian is treading in front of you. That way it only looks like the barbarian was doing it. After a few steps, you are already at a height of a good few meters. Falling now for this foolishness would take its toll. But that doesn't happen. You find a plateau in the rock covered with thorn bushes. Going deep into these bushes, you find an almost perfect view. You two evildoers. Wow. It worked amazingly. The two girls are bathing in the lake, not too close to each other. They don't talk. Shh. The barbarian does it to you with a finger in his mouth. Oh, like... The barbarian does it to you with a finger in his mouth. The bushes are dry and any wrong move can cause noise. You approach carefully to see better. Look better to whom? To the barbarian. You suddenly become very aware of the barbarian beside you. You are leaning against him, and you have no comfortable position within the bushes being glued to him. He emanates heat, and the the smell of sweat and farmland, cow and horse manure, and for those who are used to it, the iron smell of blood. A mountain of muscle under dark, sun-tanned skin, long, shaggy, but soft hair. At strategic points, he wore a chaotic mix of animal hides and skins. He had the eyes of a hunter and an exaggeratedly robust chin, his neck a trunk. His hands were the size of the plate you had your last meal on. God, those are big hands. Okay. End objectification. Yeah, that's well put. Well put. After a little peek, the two of you back off and start to climb back around the rock wall. What's up, new guy? The barbarian asks. The old you and I had a deal about that, but you tell me. The old you and I had a deal about that, but you tell me. Which one do you have your eye on? On you, big guy. What? Huh? Eh? Says the barbarian, all disconcerted. You and your little jokes. I don't cook that way. You finish the stone path without much trouble, and soon you arrive at the meeting point where you parted ways. It doesn't take long for the two girls to return as well. This stop of ours was great, but we need to go, says the necromancer. You walk down the path you came up, pulling your horses calmly until you return to the trail. The blue of the sky is darkening to a purple. The setting sun melts into a golden immensity. The temperature cools down and the cicadas begin to sing. We can enjoy another hour of light, but then it will be better to stop because of the animals, says the elf. Like everything she says, she finds no objections. She's just such a smart lady. You follow the trail until it's finally dark. Then you find a good place to camp. The necromancer summons skeletons that readily set up a comfortable camp. Good thing we got skeletons to do all the work for us. Oh, I stretched so good I hurt myself. The elf says, "We are a few hours from the city. Tomorrow we should arrive in the morning." She easily kills some birds and you put them on the fire to roast. Somebody's sitting on the fire there. Just now noticed that. There's a fire in that tent. I think this one worked the best right here. Everybody is happy and relaxed. The weather is pleasant. The elf begins to look at the surroundings. What is it? Shh! The elf mentioned for the conversation to stop. For a few seconds, just the sound of logs crackling in the fire, while the barbarian was already picking up a warhammer. Creatures in the forest. Funny. These woods didn't used to. As she was saying this, you hear a roar. Or growling instead of roaring. 4 or 5 wolves emerge from behind the trees in the darkness and cautiously approach. Ha, that's easy, says the barbarian, already standing and in combat position. But not so soon. Behind you, you hear the sound of dry leaves being crushed. You turn around and 7 or 8 more wolves are surrounding you. So there's a pack of nearly 12 now? Or, 14-ish? I can't remember what the first number was. A few more appear from the shadows and you lose count. The barbarian gets a little more tense. Goodness, this is a really big pack. Hey, remember, we're out of healing potions, the necromancer says. Let's be careful. She starts waving an incantation. You take your spear. The wolves are about to attack. Mount guard! Raise the spear in one direction. The barbarian wields a giant hammer. The elf does not hesitate and starts shooting strategically placed arrows. Wolves attack. A large black wolf comes very close to you and tricks you that he was going to jump, but instead a companion of his jumps from your right in a coordinated attack. You notice the maneuver, position yourself accordingly, and receive the wolf's attack with readiness. Use your strength at the right moment and impale the wolf in mid-leap. You quickly pull the wolf off your spear, using your feet to pin it to the ground as you see the big black wolf leaping towards you. With a quick movement, you use the spear handle to defend yourself and throw it back in its trajectory. You compose yourself. The elf shoots arrows non-stop for a moment. Barbarian doesn't let any wolf near the necromancer. Wolves are within your reach, but they begin to retreat. Round to guard. You follow the movement of the wolves, then begin to surround the archer for a withering blow. Attention over there! You point as the wolves charge at the archer. Stand between the elf and the wolves. Good! The barbarian speaks. He doesn't hesitate and takes the opportunity to advance on the wolves. He sends 2 or 3 flying. Soon he retreats while you and the elf cover him. The spear weighs heavily in your hand. Your breathing is heavy. You'd think more than half the wolves would be dead by now, but they are studded with arrows and full of bruises, but standing. Goodness, something wrong with these wolves. You fill your lungs with air to make a comment, but hear the necromancer yelling, "Get down!" Hurrah! Throw myself on the floor. Fireball!
Fireball.
You instinctively drop to the ground, just in time to see a huge flash pass close to your head. A fire arrow, fired by the necromancer, leaves a trail of immense heat and hits the wolf pack squarely. You hear an explosion and short squeals from the wolves. After that, the only sound comes from small flames in the ground. You pull yourself together and look around. Wolf bodies sprawled across the floor, along with small flames here and there. A newly opened blast crater. Necromancer and elf are intact. Good job. The barbarian has a lot of cuts, but nothing too serious. Normally you don't have to worry after you take down a pack this size. Nothing too dangerous. Should be too close. But this area was always safe. I didn't like this attack at all. Let's head to town. If we go slowly, we can take the horses with no problems. The night is bright. Let's pull our horses on foot and take the bodies of the wolves on them. And tomorrow I'll skin them and sell skins and meat. You travel slowly and cautiously. An icy wind accompanies you, and you haven't had a chance to feed and recover. The discomfort is great, and you can't wait to arrive and find an establishment with a good basin of hot water. After about 3 hours of silent march, the elf points to the horizon. See, light! In fact, in the distance, turning the side of a small hill, it was already possible to see the dim lighting of a city. The way there was an open field, and the crescent moon lets you finish the way in a rather fast march. You arrive at a village with simple wooden constructions without great walls or fortifications. The night is already long, but even so, there is still a lot of movement in the streets and in the houses. You walk among farms and simple wooden houses until the streets begin to be paved, and in the distance begin to appear some fortifications. You come across a great wall with a moat and a raised drawbridge. Next door, a noisy tavern connected to a large stable. That's the one, says the necromancer, and everyone makes their way inside. Inside, a racket was going on. Apparently there's some sort of festival going on with plenty of food and drink in town, and the villagers are up late. You even want to join the party, but you're completely exhausted. You negotiate for a room. The accommodations for your horses, a good meal, and 2 large basins of hot water for bathing. While taking the animals to the stables, you hear the elf offering the wolves to the innkeeper at a good price. You drag yourself to your room, wait a while for a tray to arrive with plenty of bread, cheese, meat, and soup. A little later, the 2 basins of hot water arrive and you take turns bathing. The sun rose long ago. You don't remember going to sleep or dreaming, but here you are in clean clothes in a comfortable bed. I like the look of this one, where it's still blurry from sleep. But this one's also alright, although it's a very short bed. What is wrong with this bed? Who sleeps facing a window like that, if that's the pillows? You stretch and look around the room. White sheets on 4 wooden beds, 2 basins with little water, and empty bowls of food on a tray on the floor. The sun streams in through the open window, illuminating trails of dust. You are alone in the room, and you get up. Through the window, you see the elf. She's at the back of the stable wearing long butcher's gloves and machete, making damage to the body of wolves. You walk down the inn, which is now empty, but with its hall still reeking of yesterday's party. You go around and find the elf. The elf is smeared with dried blood up to her elbows. "Oh, you woke up," she says as she scrapes the fat trapped in a loose wolf skin. Man, this elf's got some muscle on her. I like that. "The owner here offered me 40 pieces of silver for the wolves, 50 if I separated the flesh from the skins. And here I am," she says, wiping the sweat from her forehead with her arm raised. "Here's part of it," she says, throwing you a purse of coins, despite the necromancer saying she deserved the 40 coins just for herself. Inside the bag you see 20 coins. "But all this?" you start to ask, but the elf interrupts you. 12 yours, 8 mine. "While I'm done here, stop by the market inside the city and spend those 8 coins on incendiary and poisoned arrows for me, please." And there you have a little taste of Fantasia Medieval. Written by a human, but art generated by AI. Why not work with AI to create some wonderful pieces? We do this all the time in the real world, where we work with other humans. Lovecraft worked with several other authors to create his monsters and fiction of Cthulhu and all of that. Why not have the inspiration to take some of the artwork that AI generates and make stories out of it? One man alone can be pretty dumb sometimes, but for real bona fide stupidity, there ain't nothing that can beat teamwork. This is Master Barkle from Brighthelm Recording, signing off.